So, hello, I'm very glad to have you on our program. And today we are very happy to finally have a chance to communicate with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Lithuania, Gabrielius Landsbergis. Thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
I want to start by thanking to you, government, to you personally, and to your people for the unbelievable support that you provide to our country since the very beginning of full-scale invasion to Ukraine. Thank you very much. It's my first message to you. And of course, I would like to start with maybe very sensitive questions for Ukrainians, but still, it's very important for us for now. I want to start a dialogue with a phrase about supporting Ukraine. Let me quote, it's your phrase. You said that we, and as I understand, it is about the European Union countries. So you said we need to stop saying about supporting Ukraine for as long as it takes because it no longer works. So we need to be very specific about being with Ukraine until its victory. So this phrase, maybe it's diplomatic phrase, but what's behind this phrase? I mean, are there any talks already started among European Union countries and diplomats about some kind of negotiations with the Kremlin or with Russia?
Well, we've been hearing for quite a while the talks. They've never made it to the surface, but I think that there are definitely people within the Western Alliance who think that negotiations should take place. Maybe there are people who forget 2008 and incursion into invasion into Georgia. Maybe they forget Minsk I and Minsk II agreements that were supposed to cease fire and freeze the conflict and end the war in Europe. So maybe it's bad memory that does the disservice to those people. But I think it's very important to be clear how and why we support Ukraine. So from a Lithuanian perspective, it's, for me, it's easy to say we support Ukraine for Ukraine's victory. We're here with you till you're able to win the war. And I would like to see more countries saying exactly the same thing. But again, I mentioned that there are people who think that negotiations should be a way forward. But to be frank, I hear a lot of people who support the notion of victory, of Ukrainian victory.
But for us, the word victory is obvious and it's quite sharp. It's definite victory. But what's victory for you, for the European opinions? I mean, it's the getting back to the borders of 1991 or maybe some middle decisions. What's the victory of Ukraine for you?
First of all, the victory cannot be decided, that the parameters of victory cannot be decided by a Lithuanian minister or by any other, Western minister or, from any other country. It has to be decided by Ukrainians, by the people who run the country, who are responsible and had gotten this responsibility by the mandate given from the people. So it is understandable. But also to add to that, we've heard the president of Ukraine and Minister of Foreign Affairs defining the parameters. And Ukraine has to be able to reclaim the territories that have been lost. So talking about the borders of 1991 is absolutely logical and should be not walked around, so to say, but it has to be repeated, not just by Ukraine but also by us, so that we understand and we hear your message very clear and loud and clear.
In your opinion, is it possible to negotiate in any way with authorities of Putin, or maybe it will be another government somehow, sometime, somewhere? I don't know how it might happen. But on the other hand, my question is, do you really believe in democratic processes in Russia that will change the power, that will give our opportunity to negotiate with normal, adequate governments?
Well, I think that these are two separate issues. I think that there is a chance to negotiate with Russia. That's clearly a possibility. There has to be some sort of negotiations, about how Ukraine will be rebuilt, how much money will be reimbursed to Ukrainian people, who lost, some of them lost their children, some of them lost their relatives, and so on and so forth. So, you will have to sit down at the table and decide how to go from there, but it can only come after Ukraine has won. And for that, it does not necessarily need to have a democratic Russia, only the Russia that has lost the war. This is what is needed. in order to have some sort of a meaningful discussion. Because with a country that has not lost and that has won, there can be no negotiations. That is my probably the main worry. The second question that you're asking is there a future for democratic Russia? I believe that yes. I believe that there is a future, and history has shown there has been moments also in Russian life, Russian history. Russia managed to elect democratically their leaders and to maintain a democratic administrations. Very short periods, but it has happened in the past. Also, many dictators want us to believe that democracy is against their culture. But honestly, they have already been proven wrong by the history. Dictatorships fall. They are being changed by democracies. And even the most bloodiest of wars in European continent, such as Second World War, has shown that this can happen. So I'm rather optimistic. The only thing that I should add here is that Russians usually solve their internal problems themselves after they lose the wars that they have started. So our ambition has to be help Ukraine to win, and then Russians will solve Russia themselves.
There's one more very sensitive question, because in the historical perspective from the beginning of the war in Ukraine in 2014, there's been some doubt in the guarantees of security. I will explain why. Because you once lately said that Putin will go to the ceasefire only as a time out before the next offensive. So can you say that any peace treaties with Russia now can guarantee any security, and not only for Ukraine, but for European countries that supported Ukraine? Because we know that Russia never forgive.
Look, I remain absolutely convinced that the only way how to secure Ukraine, it has to be two elements basically that are needed, and it's just not just about Ukraine. We have to be clear that it's not just about Ukraine. It's also about other countries that are close to Russia. Ukraine is currently under attack and currently fighting, but that doesn't mean that in the future Ukraine will be the only country that could be attacked. Georgia was attacked in the past, and I believe that there are other countries who feel this that the needle could turn their way, and Baltic states should not be excluded from this. So nobody is safe until Russia is defeated. Russia has to be defeated. That's of paramount importance, and that's why we in Lithuania believe that truly that Ukraine is fighting not just for Ukrainian people, but also for us, for Lithuanians. And that's why we tend to say that there is a Ukrainian heart beating in Vilnius, that we truly understand the sacrifice that is being done in Ukraine for our security. The second element is what we call collective security, or NATO, is that showing that no country in the vicinity, in the region, will be left alone, will never be left alone, is probably a strongest message that the Russians can hear. And till now, they understood this. Till now, it was sufficient for them to understand that if you touch even the smallest NATO country, you will feel the power of all. So that's why Lithuanians and other Baltic countries are so much supportive for Ukrainian membership in NATO, understanding that after victory, membership has to follow, and that would indeed secure Ukrainian future. This is how we see the situation.